This video will cover the update part of this assignment. So looking at the solution, if we come to select, we're going to update car 23, so we're down here on this one. So we've got 23 is inserted there. When we click on update 23, it should auto-populate. This should automatically select the one from the drop-down. This should be what was entered. Again, automatically select from the drop-down what was entered, and then automatically choose yes or no. And then we can make a change to that, hit update, and it will go back to select, and it will make that change for us. So that's what we will be working on for this one. So right now we do not have an update page. What we're going to do is we are going to take insert car and we're going to copy and paste it, because insert car already has all of the form fields laid out for us. There's no point in us laying all that out again. And we're going to name it update car. So we just took insert car, copied it, pasted it, named it update car, and then we'll take update car and put it into our editor. So again, we're working on update car. I am again not on campus, so I have my VPN enabled. Every time I save, it'll take a couple of seconds, but it's not been too bad. So we've got the start of our page here. On this one, we're going to be connecting to a database. So up here at the top, we're going to do an include and go into the includes folder, open dbcon.php. So we're going to be selecting car number 23 from the database. So we need to open that database connection. The title will change to update car, and likewise the heading down here in the H1 will change to update car. We've got our menu inserted there. And so the first thing that we need to do, this came from the insert page. So we've already got all of our list items here, and basically we've got to do the value equals in places, and we've got to do something kind of tedious, but it's how we make the select work. And as we're doing that, we'll talk about how that can be made easier. In this legend, I'm going to change insert into to be update. So we're going to update the Assign06 cars table there. The action here is going to go to doUpdateCar. We have not created that yet, so when we click the update, it will, right now it will not do anything. It'll probably show a page crash. So for starters, what we want to do is select the car with ID 23. And we are going to do that right below the menu here. So we're going to have a section in here. So select the car with ID of 23 is how we're moving. Then now in this assignment, we're doing more of the same, similar to last assignment. We're still sticking with this hard-coded number on car and project. On the next assignment, we're going to make all of them editable. So whichever one you choose, it won't matter. Any one in the list, you can edit, update, delete at will. For this one though, we're sticking with the ID of 23 and working on the auto population, because this is more about how do we auto-populate a select option and how do we auto-populate a radio button. So that's more the focus of what we're doing here. So we need a a select statement. So we'll do SQL equals, and we're going to do a select car ID. Again, we list out all the column names, and so we know from insert and from the select page that we've got car ID, car make, car model, car year, car color, car hybrid. From the table name, Assign06 cars, where a clause, where some clause, where column name equals value. So where car ID equals 23. So there we've got our SQL select statement. Once again, with this select statement, we can make sure that it's going to work. We can copy it out of there because we don't have any concatenation, right? So we don't necessarily have to echo it here. We can just copy it from right here. If there was concatenation, we would have to actually load it in the browser and echo it out. So then you can come to your database, choose your table, go to the SQL tab, and paste it in there and hit go. And you can see that we've got one selected. It says one total selected. So we've got car 23, just like we saw before. So you can always do that to check your SQL query. Likewise, you can have an echo here. That's fine, and you can do a $SQL, and you can always break the execution right there. We don't need that. After that, we've got our $result is equal to MySQL iQuery. We pass it the database connection from OpenDBCon and the SQL query that we just formed right above. We then check to see if the result is empty. So if empty, $result. If it is empty, then we set a variable numResults, results with an S, plural, equals 0. So it's empty, so the number of results is 0. Else, numResults with an S is equal to MySQL underscore num underscore rows, and we pass it the result. So the result is not empty, so we take that result, singular, and we pass it to this built-in function, MySQL numRows, and it counts the number of results, and that stores that number into our local variable numResults. Then we'll do a $row and set that equal to MySQL fetch array. So we pass in the result, which is again essentially a spreadsheet. Think of a spreadsheet, rows and columns. That's what result is, right? We selected 6 columns from this table where car ID equals 23. Car ID is the primary key. It's unique. It's not null. It uniquely identifies one record in this table. So we are either going to get 1 record or 0 records. We send it to the database. We check to see if it's empty. We've either got 1 record, 1 row in a spreadsheet, or we've got 0. So if it's empty, we have 0. If it's not empty, we pass that spreadsheet into this built-in function, and we get the number of rows available, which is going to be 1. We know that from up here. And then we use MySQL fetch array to pass in that spreadsheet and get that 1 row and store it into $row for us so that we can access all the columns. Once we've done that, we'll do an if statement, and we look for $if numResults is equal to 0. We set our session error message. equal to, you must first insert a car with ID 23. So if there's not a row in result, we set our error message to be, you must first insert a car with ID of 23. So let's move down a little bit. I'm going to put a space here between our car ID and our car make. So some comments here. The car ID field below, which is right here, is going to be disabled, right? We need a disabled one, and then we need a live one, or a hidden one. So the disabled one shows on the screen, shows that we pulled that value. The hidden one actually gets sent to the next page because a disabled element cannot be sent to the next page. So I've talked through all what I was going to type out there. So the disabled one is not sent to the next page. The hidden one is sent. So here we've got our list item, and I'm just going to organize this a little bit. And we're going to have two inputs here. But one of them is going to be a disabled input, and one of them is going to be a hidden input. So let's go ahead and do, in this top one, disabled equals disabled. And then in this bottom one, we are going to change type from text to be type hidden. So this top one is type text, so it's going to display on the screen, but it's disabled, so you can't edit it. This bottom one is type equals hidden, so it does not display on the screen at all. This one is going to stay, the hidden one is going to stay car ID, and we're going to have a value equals there. This one is going to become car ID DIS for disabled, and again car ID DIS for disabled. And this label is going to become for the one that displays. So it's for car ID DIS. So those three should match up right there. And then we just need our value equals. So I'm going to do right here inside of that, I'm going to move down and do value equals. And inside of that we put our PHP. And our PHP is going to, again, we've done this before, so if the number of results is not equal to 0, we need curly brackets. Then we do an echo. And we are going to write out the row car ID, but we want to trim it because we're pulling it from a database. We do row, square brackets, car ID. So in the end it should look like that. If I were to space this out a little bit more, if I were to just make it look maybe a little bit more like we're used to, so there you can see the full if statement. If condition, so if num results is not equal to 0, here's the body of our if statement, echo with a semicolon at the end, trim, which trims the white space from the beginning and the end of this column that's pulled out of this row. And so that's the, if it helps to see it that way. I'm going to put it back into a single line. And now we also need that value equals, that same value equals in the second one. So I'm going to copy that. So both of them, both the disabled one and the hidden one, are going to have that same value equals. The hidden one is the one that gets sent to the second page, to the processing page, doUpdateCar. So we'll come down here to something new for us. This is going to be tedious to make this work, and I make it this way on purpose. So there's two pretty good size drop-down lists here, and let's start by doing the first one. We're not going to touch this one, but we will do all the rest of them. So I'm going to come over to about the E under make, and all I've done is put spaces there. And I'm going to put in some PHP here, and it's going to be the same type of thing that we have right up here. Again, we are going to check and see if numResult is not equal to 0, but also if the row is equal to whatever this value is right here. Now these happen to match, right, all the way down, but we are comparing against this value equals. This does not have to be the same as this. So it's important to understand that when we do is row car make equal to Acura, we are checking against this, not this. So we're going to have a if with the body there, and the first part we're going to do is I'll put inside of nested parentheses if numResults is not equal to 0. So here's our closing one that matches up with our if statement here. But we're also going to check double ampersand for a logical and, another nested set of parentheses. So we're going to have check two conditions. If numResults is not equal to 0, as well as the trimmed value of row car make, as long as that is equal to the value on the left there, this right here. So if you highlight this right here, it should underline over here. So you should see that we've got our opening here. This is our closing to our if here. This is our double ampersand is a logical and, which means this has to be true and this has to be true. Row car make is equal to Acura. We are trimming the value of row car make. So you can see this right here, that's our trim statement. So there's our open parenthesis to close parenthesis. Row car make is in there. If there's extra spaces, trim gets rid of it, and then we compare it to Acura. If you do not have trim there and there are extra spaces in the database, this will evaluate to false, even though, yes, it is Acura, but it's actually Acura with 15 spaces after it, which does not equal Acura without 15 spaces after it. Inside the body here, again, we've got an echo statement. And we are going to write out selected equals single quote selected. So in order to show that one of them is selected, we put in that selected equals selected, and that will make it so that it highlights. Let's come back to here. Car 23 happens to be Cadillac at the moment. So let's go down and do a few of these. So I'm going to copy from open PHP to close PHP there. So make sure you're not copying the extra greater than sign. Make sure you've got the red one to the red one. I'm going to copy. And then again, we are inside of that closing greater than sign. That's where we're at. And I'm going to paste it in the same spot, and I'm going to make all of these line up. So we're inside that closing greater than sign, inside the closing greater than sign. I'm going to go down to Cadillac because that's what's chosen. And we are going to go all the way down this list. So there, we've gotten to the one that's chosen, and what we need to do is change this name. So I've purposefully spaced this out like this so that you can see everything lines up vertically. But now we're going to take this, make sure you don't get the double quotes, and make sure you don't miss a letter. And I'm just copying and pasting these across. So there we've gotten to Cadillac, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. Again, it's update car. Come back here, make sure I'm on the one we're working on, go to our update page, and you can see that Cadillac is chosen for us there. So automatically populated, selected that one. So when we finish this and we update, you'll be able to change that to any one of them, and when you come back to the page, it will automatically choose it. While I'm looking at it, we want to change our insertion point at the bottom. So we're going to go to the very bottom real quick, and this document.getElementById, we're going to change it from car ID to be car make. And save that. Refresh this page, and you'll see that now this is chosen for us. Come back up here. This is where we were working. I'm going to continue copying this very first one, and again, make sure you only get from that red one to the red one. Make sure you don't copy that extra greater than sign because it's right here on each one. So we're going to copy that, and let's go all the way down through the list this time. And again, I'm going to keep lining them up as I paste them down through the list. Each time you see something like this, where it's a long list, and we wind up with something that's pretty repetitive, you should ask yourself, how could we change this so that it's not this repetitive? And you should also ask yourself, what happens if they need to insert another make? We have to come into this file and we have to add it in this way and add the code for the check seems like a lot of updating. So as you are learning to interact with the database, what you should think is, hey, we could probably create a database table that has all the makes of cars, and then write a select statement that can get all of the makes of cars. And then we can select the one that should be chosen that way. And instead of doing this for every single one of these, we would instead select it from the database. We could still create that drop-down list, but we would do it dynamically instead of hard-coded the way it is currently. And then as we go through that for loop, just like we go through the for loop on the select page, but instead of creating a table, we're creating select options. As we go through that for loop, we would check to see if the one that we are currently writing out is the one that's supposed to be selected. And when we find that one, we have an if statement, and use that if statement to write out selected equals selected. And then the for loop just continues writing all these select options for us. For right now, what I want you to understand is how this code functions. So this is, we've got all these copied here, and now we're going to have to copy and paste across. So again, make sure you're copying the value equals, and you're going over here and replacing Acura each time. Getting closer. Oops. Go back here. There we go. And that will round out our select drop-down for car make. So now our car model is going to be similar to car ID. So we've got our label for car model there. Similar in that it's just a value equals. There's no disabled one. So we'll do value equals, and we need our PHP, open and close PHP in there, And again, it's just the same if statement, if followed by the body, if num results is not equal to 0, then echo out the trimmed value of $row car model. I can move that down here and have it all on screen. So we've got input, name and ID, car model, type equals text. And then we've got our value equals, double quote to double quote. If num results is not equal to 0, then echo out the trimmed value of the car model column in that row that we selected. And then we're to car year, and you guessed it, it's the same thing as what we just did above. So we're going to do it again. Again, this one here with year we're not going to look at. I'm going to start by copying this last one. Again, make sure you do not get that second greater than sign. You want the red one to the red one there. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to come down here to this first year. Between the double quote and the greater than sign, I'm going to put a space and paste. And make sure you put a space there. There does need to be a space. I'm going to go ahead and edit this one. So we're still doing if num results is not equal to 0, logical and, but we're checking for car year. And for this one, it's going to be 2020. And it's still echo selected equals selected, like that. So now I'm going to copy that entire thing. I'm going to copy the space in front as well. So we've got a space and then our PHP to our red closing one. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it all the way down. And actually right there, I'm going to change this one to so that it at least starts with 19. And I'm going to continue pasting. Again, looking at this select drop down, hopefully you can see how these years could be put into a database table. And then pulled from that database table, we write a for loop to create this select option group. For now, we're just learning the code for being able to auto-populate it. So now we've just got to change these all the way down. And so I'm going to do a make sure you don't get off on your years, or you'll find yourself going all the way back through again. Also make sure you don't have a typo or your auto population won't work correctly. And that should complete our select dropdown for car year. So just glance back through there, make sure you've got all your numbers correct. Car color is going to be just like car model. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to grab this value equals out of car model. Come down here and put value equals, but change it to car color. And then we've got our radio buttons here. Radio buttons and our insert button. So instead of insert info, I'm going to say update car. And that'll be done. And then here for our inputs, we've got the value equals yes, and that's what we need to check and see. Is what's entered in the database equal to what the value equals is? And so this is going to be a check similar to the selects, actually, because you're checking to see if the num result is not equal to 0 as well as the value equal to yes. So I'm going to copy this last section of PHP right here. Again, make sure you don't get that extra greater than, going red to red, copy that, come down here just after that double quote on the yes and hit paste, just after that double quote and paste. We'll have to change both of those. We are checking for car hybrid. On the top one, we are checking for yes. Capitalization matters. The value equals on the left-hand side has a capital Y and a capital N. So you're checking for a capital Y, yes, capital N, no. But we are not writing out selected equals selected. We are writing out checked equals checked. And I just put a space in front of it here just to make sure that when it writes out that there is a space. There should be, because we put a space right here. So we've got checked equals checked for a radio button. So that's what yours should look like there. Go ahead and save that. Come to update car23, and we'll see now that we've got our no is automatically selected for us. All of our values are populated like they should be, and we are ready to hit update car and go to do update car. So for that, let's come back to our folder. I'm going to start out with doInsertCar. I'm going to copy that and paste it. And I'm going to rename it to doUpdateCar. Bring that up here. And we're going to modify this. Again, make sure you've got doUpdateCar open here. We just copied and pasted it. So a lot of this is going to stay the same here. We are still grabbing the information from the previous page, grabbing it from updateCar. We are still checking for some special characters and removing them. Right here we're going to do another check to make sure that car ID is not empty. So we're going to do if empty $car ID. If so, we'll do a header location redirect to select.php. If it is empty, if car ID is empty, somebody typed this page into the URL. So redirect them. We're still checking to make sure that values are entered because you don't want to come to the update page and have them remove the car model. You still want something there. So we will come to let's see here. We'll change these to, these are pointing to update, right? Because we copied doInsert, so they're pointing to insert. We want them to point to updateCar. We actually probably don't need this one right here because we have a disabled value, a hidden value that is sent, but it's not hurting anything being there. This one will actually do a check, and we can test it. If we get that far, we come down here and we don't need to select anything. Basically what we need is, let's just get rid of this part right here. We're going to delete the select result equals if else, if num results. We'll get rid of that. So we've got the open database connection. And then instead of an insert statement, we're going to have an update statement. We'll still have the MySQLi database connection and the SQL query. We'll have the closing database connection. We'll redirect to select at the end. So what we need to do here is the large part of this page, which is the update statement. So again, it is update table name. So update Assign06 cars. Again, capitalization matters. Set column name equal to value in single quotes, comma, column name equal to value in single quotes, comma, column name equal to value in single quotes, car color equal to the value in single quotes, comma, car hybrid equal to the value in single quotes. But we need a where clause. This, right as it sits now, with no values in it, it would update all of them, and we don't want that. We need a where clause so that we can select by the primary key. Again, the primary key is unique and not null. It will uniquely identify the one record we want to update. So where the car ID is equal to, and we'll concatenate that in from up above. So it does not have single quotes because it's an integer. We'll do concatenated with $car ID. So where car ID equals the value from above car ID. And now all we have to do is in these 5 spots, concatenate together the rest of them. So we'll do car hybrid here. In between these single quotes, we'll do double quotes, periods for concatenation, car color, car year, we'll do double quotes, single quotes for concatenation, car year. Here we'll do double quotes, single quotes for concatenation, car model, and last one, we'll do double quotes, single quotes for concatenation, car make. Now, once again, to double check this, you can echo out the SQL statement and stop the processing before it happens. So we can hit save here. Come down to this one, update car 23. Hit update car. It stops on this page because we echoed out and put exit. So we've got update, Assign06 cars, set car make, car model. You can check your syntax here. If you're not sure, you can copy the whole thing. Copy it. You can come over here, go to your table in the database. Go to your table in the database, go to the SQL tab, paste it in, hit go. It executed correctly. That also means that when I come back here to the select page, it did execute correctly. I'll come back to update car. I'll come back to here. I'm going to comment out this echo statement and this exit statement. We'll save this. And now we're on update car. We'll make some changes. Come down to 23. Come back to update. All of our changes are there. Let's make some changes again. Let's leave that out. We've got an error message. It repopulates with what we had before. Update. And you can see those values go across. So there we have completed the update portion.